Welcome to the CBIA BizCast powered by Google. On this podcast, we dive into stories about Connecticut businesses.
Downs Construction actually came to my school.
And business leaders.
I think it's always also really important to be able to see a path forward.
Who are shaping the future of Connecticut's economy.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Amanda Marlowe, and today I'm here with the Bright Feeds CEO, Jonathan Fife. Jonathan, welcome to the BizCast.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
We're really excited to have you. Bright Feeds is a very new company, really has started in the last couple of years. Really, they're working to solve the food waste crisis by turning unwanted food into high-quality animal feed. This is a big operation that you guys have really right here in Connecticut now and in Massachusetts as well. Were you in this space beforehand? Were you in startups, manufacturing? Tell me about that.
Yeah, no, nothing similar. I was at an investment firm in New York City, and I was doing a few different things, one of which was working on some of our private investments. And while I was at the investment firm, I met our co-founder, Tim Rassias, who's a serial entrepreneur who had started several successful businesses. And he originally had the idea and got me into this craziness.
And was food waste something that you had been interested in beforehand, or did you gain interest as you learned about it?
Yeah, really as we learned. So we heard about Tim and I had been working, very closely on a different business at the time, and we heard we heard about a few people who were trying to convert food waste into animal feed and some of the challenges that they were having succeeding. And as Tim and I, we were talking frequently, we were going over some of the problems people were having, and we felt like there were technological solutions out there. And as we started researching, we learned more about the problem. Food waste contributes to about 10% of greenhouse gas emissions. 1/3 of the world's food is wasted, so it's a huge economic and environmental problem. And then we started to learn about not just, it wasn't just a local problem, it's something that's, across the country, across the world. And it felt like a really, interesting problem to try to devote ourselves to full time.
We'll get into a little bit more of the problem and what you guys have done. But how did you come from this idea of this business to, you were in New York City at the time, now you're here in Connecticut. Tell me about that evolution.
Yeah, so the more we researched, the more interested we got in trying to launch a business. And our first question was, okay, can we actually do this at scale? There's so much food waste out there that we didn't want to do it on a small scale. We wanted to develop something that could really first solve Connecticut's problem and then bring that to the rest of the country. So what we did is we partnered with a few leading engineers. So Glenn Gaudet, who runs Boston College's engineering school, and then Jamal Yagoubi, who was the head of mechanical engineering at WPI. And we sat down with them, and they're both in the sustainability area, and we said, can we solve the engineering problems to really build a facility to process food waste at scale? And as we started engineering and working through drawings, it started to get more real, and we felt like it was something that we could do and decided to jump in.
And Connecticut was a great space to do that?
Yeah, Connecticut had an initiative called the Coalition for Sustainable Materials Management. It was run by the Department of Environmental Protection, who band together with about 90 municipalities. And MIRA, right down the block to here, shut down in 2022. And so at the time, when we started the business, it was 2021, so it was kind of the impending shutdown of MIRA. So the state was really looking to solve the problem. They had working groups, so they were very motivated. So when we approached them with the idea, they really welcomed us with open arms. They made the permitting process straightforward. The town of Berlin was great to work with when we were searching for a property, which was challenging at the time. So I just think for what we were looking to do, really lined up with Connecticut's working groups and the problems they were looking to solve.
And you had mentioned at the start, there were some other companies kind of doing some similar stuff, but you felt like there was a lot of burdens that could be solved with technology. So what makes you guys different than some of these other food waste management companies? Yeah,
so what we saw is a lot of the companies out there will just focus on one waste stream, because one of the primary challenges to creating a food waste animal feed business is how do you remain consistent? We're getting things from supermarkets, from bakeries, from large food processors, and they all produce different types of foods. So historically, what many in the industry did is they said, let's just focus on bakery items, or let's just focus in a certain area. And what we really wanted to do was build a one-stop shop to take everything. And what that means is we need sensors, technology, ways to measure food, ways to blend, and that took advanced algorithms, and that's why we partner with some of those leading engineers I mentioned. But it's what we want to do is, instead of taking one stream, really solve the problem by taking any food waste that people will bring us.
And obviously you're still growing. What was it like really getting started? Because you not only have to find the people coming in to do business with to get the materials, but then also these farms and who are giving out the feed.
Yeah, it was really difficult starting, because at first we showed up and we showed up to feed customers and we said, we want to contract with you. Well, they said, send us a sample. And then we said, okay, we'll be back. We went to the food manufacturers and they said, well, do you have a track record? So starting the business, balancing supply and demand was very challenging. We hustled. We found a few food manufacturers that were willing to contract with us, mostly through warm intros. And then once we had a few, we were very focused on making sure we had very high quality service to build up our reputation. And then when we opened, we finally could produce a product to start. So we thought we had the idea and business was going to come to us, but waste contracts are sticky. The market exists in a certain fashion today, and breaking in has been a very interesting endeavor, to say the least.
Yeah, certainly. And what kind of who are your customers on the back end?
So large feed mills. Okay. So the product that we produce is not a feed that goes directly to farms. It's a feed ingredient that replaces corn and soy. So corn and soy make up a huge proportion of the animal feed market today. It's something like 90%. So what our product does is we're a replacement, and the larger feed mills that we sell to can buy less corn and soy for their final mixes. And our product uses human nutrition. It's very high quality. So we sell at a discount to those large feed mills. So there's cost savings there, and then ultimately they pass that through to farms. So it's something that we sell in bulk to the large feed mills in the region, and then ultimately we hope those cost savings translates to all the local farms in the area.
So yeah, some of that food waste, maybe that's coming from New England, is also being fed out to farms maybe right here in Connecticut.
Absolutely.
And on the business side of things, for these these farms, these large scale operations, there's a cost saving, they're getting really high quality food. What's the benefit for the businesses? Sustainability?
Yes. So there are multiple. No, we felt really strongly when we were developing the business plan, we had to ensure that we could offer a service that would save people money. I think that sustainability is a huge pitch. Some companies care about that, more than others. But there are cost savings. That's a huge driver. That when we go in, because we make all of our money through selling animal feed, so we don't need to charge very small amounts on the front end. And it's really interesting, tipping fees across the country, and especially here in the Northeast, continue to accelerate. They're up, I think on average over the last 4 or 5 years, north of 10% a year. We charge virtually nothing. So it's, cost savings, sustainability, and then we focus a lot on service, and we try to differentiate ourselves by really specializing in food setups and frequent pickups, clean setup for the businesses that we work with. So we also try to ensure we have high quality service.
So you kind of help them manage how they're going to get it out the door to you.
Exactly. We have a team that does that. They go in, they look at the right setup, whether it's a full chute with a container or it's something smaller. We'll go in and our team has expertise in that. But we first get in the door because we save people money.
Wow. And I think, one of the things that you mentioned earlier was just the impact part of this and really the need for it. Tell me a little bit about that and, how much savings you think you've been able to provide so far.
Yeah, so basically tipping fees in the Northeast are north of $120 a ton. And it wasn't a long time ago when they were at $60 and $70 a ton. So they've really increased pretty significantly. We'll pay for some food material, or we'll if it's wetter, we'll charge very little. So we're on average paying for material today versus the $120 a ton cost. So our savings are proportional to how much waste a given food manufacturer, supermarket, or food business will have. But it's quite substantial, and especially in today's inflationary environment, it's a meaningful amount.
Just a couple of weeks ago, we heard from Scott Kalb, who's your board chair.
Yep.
We actually have a permit to do 450 tons a day.
At CBIA's E2 conference, and he talked about 3 goals: really helping the businesses, helping become more sustainable, save money, helping these farmers get good quality products, but then also really helping the world, helping the global footprint. What kind of impact do you think that this is having on there?
Yeah, you cannot solve the climate crisis without addressing food waste. Again, it contributes about 10% of greenhouse gas emissions globally. If food waste were a country, it'd be the 3rd largest emitter after the US and China. So it's a huge problem, and it's a very difficult problem to solve. So our facility in Berlin is permitted to process up to 450 tons a day. Wow. And every day we have more and more waste coming in through our facility. So it is something that can really solve the waste crisis at scale. And the facility that we have in Berlin, we're now looking at multiple areas across the country for who has the biggest problem and need, where can we have the most impact in the near term, and we're looking at setting up facilities in those areas. So ultimately, we think that every state should have at least one facility, and we think we can really tackle the problem at scale. And we went through a pretty rigorous life cycle analysis with university experts, and our process is equivalent to taking 33,000 cars off the road each year. So the energy that we produce from our process through drying and cooking and blending is less than just the energy needed to grow corn and soy, before even talking about preventing food from going to landfills. So it's a very green process, and the more we scale, the more that we can produce at our facilities, the more we're taking a bite out of climate change.
Tell me a little bit about your team, who's behind this. Obviously, with the amount of growth that you've seen in the past couple of years, I assume the team is growing.
Yeah, we keep busy.
Have to have some pretty smart engineers.
After Tim and I, our 3rd employee was director of operations, Daniel Adam. He was an incredible hire for us. We hired, he was someone who still not sure why he joined at first when it was just an idea. But he was, someone who had a lot of experience in managing large facilities and helped us really build out our facility. We've hired, head of engineering. We have, on our team is the head of engineering at Boston College and Worcester Polytechnical Institute. And then we hired recently a chief growth officer, Laxmi Wordham, who's out there really forging partnerships with some of the largest retailers in the country and working on pilot programs. Chris Rassias, our VP of Business Development. So, we're north of 20 employees at this point. We continue to hire, and as we start to really lay the foundation for our next few facilities, we're really going to be ramping up our personnel count.
And I imagine when you are looking to hire, yes, you're dealing with food waste, but you're really solving some big world problems, and that's got to be, I know, especially with this generation coming in, is a real big selling point.
Exactly. So we've been fortunate that we've been able to hire people who have more experience than where our company was necessarily at the time. And I think everyone's working just an insane amount of hours at this point, solving problems as they come, figuring things out. We're really creating a newer process. And because there's not a roadmap we can just follow, it means everyone is working like crazy. I think they're doing it, and we're able to recruit people of high caliber because everyone sees where we're going to be in 4 or 5 years. They're excited about the mission. Everyone, when more food waste comes into our facility, we walk around, and it's amazing to think that a lot of the food waste could have gone to a landfill or incinerator. It's clean, it's fresh. It's really we've all been amazed at how much food waste there is. And the good thing about working at our company is you're surrounded by food waste, so you know exactly why you're there. You're surrounded. You can really feel your impact every day when you're at our facility.
You seem to have gained so much knowledge about food waste and about this conversion. You didn't know much about it beforehand. So tell me about taking on that learning curve and immersing yourself in this.
Yeah, so at first we said, let's focus on, and really we've done this until recently, let's focus on the technology. Let's make sure that we have a state-of-the-art facility. We have sensors throughout our facility, algorithms that are moving material throughout our facility and blending it. So we were really focused on just the tech piece in our facility for a while. And after we opened, we said, okay, if we build it, they'll come. But we learned very quickly that's not the case. You really have to go out there, you have to find business, we have to market, we have to make sure people understand clearly what our value proposition is, and that will make their lives easier. So through the course of doing that, we've interacted with so many people throughout the food spectrum, from the haulers to the food, to food manufacturers, to people in the sustainability area. And through that process and through growing our business, we've met so many people that have taught us an incredible amount.
And that's kind of just how you started to gain all of that.
We learn something new every day, and that changes. Where the good thing about being at our size is that when we learn something new, we can adjust and we can refine our process or how we set up or our routes or who we partner with. And so at this scale, we have a lot of flexibility. And, I think our whole team is just very open-minded to new information and trying to make sure that we get it right.
What are some of the things as you look back at your starting to where you are now, some of the lessons that you've learned?
Oh my God, do you have 2 hours? But it's, there's just, we've learned an incredible amount. There's, things about our process that we would have done differently, the way we, set up our facility to have more flexibility for the future. There's certain, waste streams we wish we had targeted right away. There's just a whole host of, things with our facility setup that we think we would, that we would do differently. Anytime we said, let's just go about it this way to save a few dollars, we've always regretted it. So anytime we've really built for scale, put things in the right way, it's avoided the headaches of, our director of operations and others running around fixing pipes are bursting, going it. I think really making sure that you build it correctly the first time around.
Yeah, so really not taking those shortcuts to try and speed things along.
Exactly. It's build it the right way, be patient. If we continue to focus on making sure our customers are happy, both on the food manufacturing side and the animal feed, the rest, and we focus on building a high quality plan and improving each day, the rest will take care of itself.
What advice do you have maybe for, people who are entrepreneurs, maybe kind of stuck in one world and have this idea? What advice do you have for them? I know you had a partner in this, so that was helpful, I'm sure.
Yeah, so I would, maybe I'll have a different perspective in a few years. We'll see, but currently, I think a lot of the success that we've had is because our team is made up of people with very different skill sets. So without Tim, there's no chance that Bright Feeds would have taken off. And then without, Chris and Lakshmi and Dan, there's no way, we would have gotten the facility scaled up and the machines working. So I think, and Scott on the finance side and sustainability area. So I think the biggest advice I would have is partner with people who look at the world differently than you, have different skill sets. There's way too much to do every day to grow the business, even at a small scale, to do it by yourself.
I know you said your goal, really, every state should have something like this. What do you think about what's going to be happening with your company in Connecticut? I know you said the state has been, since the beginning, very, receptive. I think you guys also worked with Connecticut Innovations. Was that it early on?
Yep.
So, what do you think, what do you see for Connecticut's future with Bright Feeds?
Yeah, so we're very focused on building out infrastructure in Connecticut. So our facility is permitted to process 450 tons, so we can take a big chunk of Connecticut's food waste. We really for food waste to get to our facility economical, it either has to come in very large quantities or be closer to our facility. So we're very focused on working with the state to build food waste collection stations and other infrastructure so that we have a presence in Fairfield County in areas that are over an hour outside of our facility.
Yeah, one of the things I think we also heard at that E2 conference was just a lot of people wanting stuff like this but can't get to it because they're in a small town.
Exactly.
And they're not able to, they don't have the resources.
Exactly. There's two sides to our business. There's what goes on at the plant, converting food waste to animal feed, and then there's logistics and making sure it gets to your facility in an economical way. We're spending a lot of time on the logistics now and making sure that people in remote areas or areas that are far from our facility can benefit from the cost savings from moving their food waste to our facility.
Okay. Very interesting. It's, amazing to see what you've done in such a short period of time. I'm sure sometimes you look back and you're like, wow, 20 employees.
Yeah, it's been a incredible journey so far. I think working with Tim Rassias, our president, COO, and co-founder, who has a ton of experience building businesses, and Scott Kalb, another co-founder who you saw speak, who has a huge presence in the sustainability field, has made it a lot of fun, but we're all sprinting in a million different directions to make sure that we take advantage of this opportunity.
Great. And we've got a lot of businesses who listen to this BizCast. So what steps should they be taking, or what kind of qualifies them for the right person to be working with you right now?
Yeah, if they have food waste, they're the right business. And Chris Rassias, our VP of Business Development's numbers, on our website, so they can fill out a form on our website. They can call Chris; he'll get back to them, immediately. And so I would say just reach out. What we'll do is we'll call you back. We'll go through how much waste volumes you have. We'll understand the pain points that you have disposing of your waste. We'll take a tour to your facility, and we can generally turn around a proposal within a couple days. And we've really yet to encounter a situation where we won't save a business money.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the BizCast.
Thanks for having me. We're incredibly excited to be in Connecticut, and we're hoping to continue to onboard new businesses. So I would just want anyone listening to please reach out.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here again, and thank you for listening to this week's BizCast. You can listen, like, and subscribe to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and please leave us a review and let us know if you have ideas for a future podcast. For more episodes, head on over to CBIA.com.